Are you an adventurer looking to take your hunt to the next level? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to East Meets West Hunt with your host, Bo Martonic.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the East Meets West Hunt podcast. And I'm out here in wonderful New Jersey today. It's a beautiful, sunny, hot day here, I would say, in August. So I'm here with Craig Davidson at OK4WD. How's it going today, Craig?
Pretty good. It's hot out.
Yeah, very hot out. Yeah, it's hot, but we're getting closer and closer to the fall, that's for sure.
Yes.
And that means hunting season.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I make the drive out here today, about a 5-hour drive out to OK4WD to put on a James Baroud USA tent on my truck. So we'll get into that here in a little bit, but I'm excited to test this thing out after you helped me put it on the truck there. So
yeah, we're glad you have it. We're happy to have you have it.
Yeah,
we like what you're all about, and that's what we're all about. We like to, just down to earth guys that want to get out in the wilderness and camp, hunt, fish.
Yeah.
So that's what it's all about.
Cool. Well, when we get started here, let's talk a little bit about just a little quick background on yourself and what you do here as well.
Okay. Yeah. I started at OK4WD about 5 years ago. Of course, it's OK4WD. We build trucks. We put lift kits on them, tires, wheels, that kind of stuff. And the owner, Jim Oostijk, wanted to get into another market, spread it out a little bit. So we got into rooftop tents, which is kind of like for overlanding. So he offered me a job to come here and run the overlanding, the tent part of the process for him. So he hired me on. These tents are made in Portugal. We ship them in. And then we have distributors. We're the distributor. We have dealers throughout the country. Washington, California, Colorado, just New Mexico, just all over. And we're just trying to get everybody to know that you don't have to have a big trailer. You don't have to have your car loaded with a big tent with all the poles. And you just have a tent that's on top of your vehicle. You drive wherever you want to go. A couple minutes, it's popped up, and you're camping. You're sleeping. So
and the ones that you have here, you have the hard shell as well as
soft shell.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's what. So I just put a hard shell on the top of my truck, and it's pretty awesome, pretty quick and easy to set it up and have it down just as quick amount of time there. So
yeah, especially when you get used to it. When you get a system going, you'll have that up in 30 seconds, and closing less a minute, and you're done. So
yeah. So that the interesting thing when I first started talking to you, Craig, we were talking about how most of your, I guess, business comes from the overlanding industry. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
And camping as well, or what are kind of your
camping?
topics?
But mostly the biggest one is overlanding, and then after that, it's probably just little family camping after that. But most of it's the overlanding.
Yeah, and when I first started, I've been looking at these tents for a long time, and I was like, I could use that so much for hunting, for traveling, whether that's just driving even an hour to your spot in somewhere in the Appalachian mountain region, or if you're traveling across the country going out west, being able to utilize that tent and sleep in it where you're at. You don't need to get a hotel room. You don't need to bring a big, heavy camper pulling behind it.
Exactly.
It's this light weight, what are they, 125 pounds?
About 140, yeah.
140 pounds that go on top. Two guys can load up the tent, throw it on top of the truck, leave it locked down there. It can stay there all the time. And wherever you're at, you can pop it up and go to sleep. So that's why I was like, man, these would be awesome for hunting trips. And then when I met you and started talking to you about it, you're like, yes, that's exactly what we have in mind for them.
Exactly. So. Yeah, that's exactly what, like I said, when we met and you said what you wanted to do, I'm like, I was like, well, finally somebody understands what we're trying to do here, what it's all about. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, the good thing about it is, you're on a hunting trip somewhere, you spent time looking on topo maps and everything and Onyx maps, checking the land out. And you might be traveling 4 or 5 hours. You've never been there before. You get there, it's not what you thought it was going to be. You don't see this game, you don't see signs of game, and you don't have all those wall tents and everything else. You just get back to the truck, close the tent, and you go to another spot. You go to plan B. You're not like stuck there taking an hour and a half, 2 hours, tearing camp down. Camp's tore down in less than a half hour, and you're on your way.
Yeah.
So that's one of the big advantages. It's like you're kind of like hunting like a nomad.
Yeah.
You can go where you want to go. It's not working there. Pick up, go somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, and that's funny that the way you said that they're hunt like a nomad. That's kind of your guys' saying, and well, it's your hashtag with it for the tents, and it makes so much sense and that's kind of the lifestyle that that we live there. And you and I were talking about it. It's definitely a bigger movement now with people doing that, traveling places, hunting public land, hunting big woods, more adventure style hunts. And again, that can be anywhere from Pennsylvania, New York, Virginia, all the way down the East Coast, or that could be in the Rocky Mountains.
Yep.
And I plan on using it throughout the Midwest as well, and anywhere that anywhere you can park your truck, you can set it up and be sleeping in a pretty short amount of time.
Exactly, that's the good thing about it. That's like a lot of guys, they don't go out west or they don't go on big hunts because let's face it, it's a cost. It's money. Where here's something where for the price of the tent, to wherever you got to go, there's your hotel cost. Just already covered just by the price of this tent to get to where you want to go. You don't have to go. Like you said, anywhere there's open land, you can go, get there, set the tent up, hunt. And it's a lot cheaper. You're basically just paying for your tags, your gas. And it's and your food. You're not hotel rooms. You're not on with having to pay for the outfitters and all that kind of stuff. You really can get out there on your own, do it yourself, and have an adventurous time, and probably one of the greatest times you'll ever have hunting when you really look at it. So you've done it all on your own. Yeah,
no, definitely. And it's so rewarding from that standpoint. And I've talked about it on this podcast a lot. And this is just another tool to be able to add. Mm-hmm. Again, to be able to completely be self-sustained out of your truck, anything, you have everything there. And, for guys like you and me there, say we're hiking back in a ways and you coming out late at night and then you have a 45-minute drive, even back home or something. If you didn't want to, you just sat all day in your tree stand during a rut, and instead of driving back and having to do that, you can cook up dinner right there at your truck, jump up in, go to sleep, and wake up in the morning and go out hunting again. And these tents work in all weather conditions.
Yes.
Completely weatherproof.
All season. Yeah. 100% waterproof. They're UV protected. They're breathable, so you're not going to get inside and get all clammy. The material lets it breathe, so at nighttime you're not, like I say, you're not waking up in the morning all clammed up and everything, and there's no moisture inside the tent. So you're not putting wet clothes on right from the get-go to go sit in your stand all day. Like I say, you're putting on damp clothes. Yeah. So there's just a lot of advantage. And like I say, my truck's all rigged up. I got the refrigerator, freezer in there. I got the stove in there. I got the drawer system where all my hunting gear's in there. I got the tent on top. You're basically unstoppable. As long as you're allowed there to hunt, you can hunt there, and you have everything you need.
Yeah, everything you need to live there.
Exactly.
That's what we were joking around about, right? You're saying, I could live out of this at any time. And your wife would just have to find a place to stay, right?
Exactly, yeah. I got the shower and everything. Everything's hooked up. So.
Yeah. No, that's funny. And, they're very simple. And it was, again, I've only ever seen them, from afar, mm-hmm. and until I got to put my hands on one and crawl up inside it and see, and it's pretty easy to see why one James Baroud is the top of the class and from an overlanding standpoint, and hopefully, this kind of we can show everyone how you can use it in a hunting space,
right?
And like you said, there's just not. The biggest thing I always hate when I go places is taking up, setting down tents, and then having to dry it out, and then you have to pack it back up and do everything. This has, you were telling me about the vents on it, mm-hmm. where you can close it up, semi wet, try to get the water off the outside of it, mm-hmm. but close it up and it breathes while you're driving.
Yeah, there's baffled ears on the side of the tent, so like I said, you just pat the tent a little bit, just get some of the water off of it, close it up. When you're driving down the road, air is going to circulate through there. Dust can't get in there because, like I said, they're baffled, so you're going to have air circulating through. You're drying your tent out while you're driving, so again, like I say, you don't have to worry about You hunt it 2-3 days. You drive 6-7 hours home. You got to go to work the next day. You don't have to worry about getting the tent opened up and drying out. It's fine. You can let it go till you get home or whenever you have a chance. Just, I'd still say open it up.
Yeah.
It's always nice to open it up just to air out if you've been in it for a couple of days sleeping. So, but yeah, it's not, it's not like, oh no, I got to get home, get this tent opened back up and dry it out. You don't have to worry about that at all. Another good thing about it too is you can keep your sleeping bag and your pillow in there also. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing too. You're in there. You don't have to roll your sleeping bag up. And just keep it in there, keep your pillow in there, because when you close the tent, there's 6 inches of room, so you can keep stuff in there. Like I have a tendency, sometimes I'll even keep my clothes in there. Like I lay my clothes out, So I have everything laid there, so everything's in there. So
once you pop it up, you're good
to go. Yep.
Yeah, that's nice. And like you said, because at first, it might take you just a few minutes at first to get used to setting it up, but with your direction and everything there, it was simple. You open up the one side, then the other, get inside and pop out the struts and basically set up from there, pull out the ladder, and you're good.
Yeah, yep, so, you're good to go.
It's I'm really excited to get to use that a little bit here.
Yeah, like I said, we're pretty excited you're having it. So
yeah. And what's the warranty like with your company's tent?
It's a 5-year warranty.
Okay.
Everything on the tent's covered for 5 years. If anything ever happens, you go on our website, and you can email. The email comes right to me. I send you a warranty form. You fill the form out, I get it back, and we take care of whatever it is.
Okay.
As long as you haven't rolled your truck down the side of the mountain or something, it's going to be covered.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to be people-friendly, customer-friendly, and we want everybody to know that we care about them, and we want them to enjoy their experience in the outdoors, and we don't want them to have to worry about, something going wrong with their tent. So if something goes wrong, we want you to be happy.
Take care of it completely.
Take care of it, yep.
No, that's awesome. And you do have some advantages, to where your shop's located at here, being so close to the Delaware Water Gap and a lot of areas here. And this is my first time ever out this way. It's beautiful. Beautiful area.
Yeah, it is. Like I say, we got Delaware Water Gap area, national land there, state land. Really not that far away from, if you want to go to New York State, you want to go to Vermont. A couple of guys here go to Vermont a lot. So, a couple hours are in Vermont. Down south you go to Virginia. So we have a lot of places you can go here.
Yeah.
And do a lot of this.
So you get to use all your stuff here quite a bit.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think a lot of people think when they think of the East Coast, they really don't think of, there's really nowhere to go. But there actually is. If you do your research online or whatever, and just make phone calls, or you'll find out there's actually quite a few public lands that are open that you can get on there, access to, and just have a good time. So
yeah. No, definitely. And that's what, again, the other reason you and I connected pretty well was our hunting styles are similar. And and we were kind of laughing, it's not always when people think of whitetail hunting, you don't think of someone that's in shape hiking back in there with kind of an adventure style to the hunts. You think of just driving around in the pickup truck and your orange hat and driving right up to the tree stand or whatever it may be. And so we were joking about that, but in reality, it's just something that, and one of my goals here is to show that the East Coast is covered with places like that, that you can do some awesome hunts and everything else. And the Appalachian Trail comes through here, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, over on the Pennsylvania side.
Okay.
And up at Delaware Water Gap is where it crosses over into Jersey.
Okay.
To New Jersey, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it comes right through it. Very popular. Get a lot of people walking on that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's so many different things. But, so that's what my buddy Rick and I, he's the store manager at Bucks and Bows where I work. Mm-hmm. He's out here with me, and we're going to do some camping. We're going to do some camping up in the Delaware Water Gap, and I'm trying to figure out, I was trying to get Craig to tell him that we can't both sleep in that tent, but he's kind of, I don't know what to say about it, but if the podcast doesn't get released, you figure out why.
Yeah. Yeah, because the tents are actually 79 89 by 55, so they're actually a double-sized bed.
Yeah, the one I have is the Evasion, correct?
The Evasion, yeah. Because then we have the XXL. All the tents come in an XXL, which is basically a queen-size bed on top of your vehicle. It's 89 by 65.
Yeah,
that sleeps 3 adults.
Okay, so what I need is that with a wall in the center.
With a wall, exactly.
So Rick can have his side.
He has his side.
And I can have mine.
But,
but yeah, well, that'll be to be continued on how that ends up panning out. But yeah, so I'm going to be able to use this, like I said, for camping trips with buddies, or you can use it for family trips. You can use it for anything, and with that, there's attachments that come off it. You were talking about how you have an attachment for a shower off of yours, and awnings and everything.
Yeah, we have awnings. Yeah, we have different size awnings from 4 foot to 9 foot, and they all have side panels. So. And the side panels are just like the tent; they zip open so you have screening also.
Okay.
So you're not closed in inside. You can actually have screens, so you have like a screened-in room. Weather gets bad, zip it up. Now you just have a closed-in room.
Yeah.
The 4 foot one, I like that one on this side of my truck because I put that size on. Then I got a shower there, so you can shower right in there. You have everything right there, so you get cleaned up. Let's face it, when you're camping and stuff, you get sweaty and dirty, and it does feel good to take a shower.
Yeah.
I like being clean and take showers, so that's like my thing is I always make sure, like Rin and I, we always talk about that, like we got to have a shower, so so I have to have a shower, so yeah.
No, that's a nice add-on for it, and I can think specifically even, so a lot of people go out west, say you're going to Colorado and you go up to a trailhead and people will set up, kind of a base camp there. You don't need a whole lot of floor space to set these up because you're going straight up, and then whatever size the awning is going out, and for the listeners, it's tough for them to see how much I use my hands when I talk as I'm explaining it, but it doesn't take up a lot of floor space to be able to do that. You're just going straight up from your truck, SUV, whatever
it is. Yeah, that's one thing too. Like a lot of people, when we first brought them to America, everybody thought that they were just for. Because we have Jeeps here, of course, everybody thought they were for Jeeps. It's like, no, you can put them on anything. And then guys will realize, I can put this in the back of my truck. And then some people, we get a lot of people now are calling, like Subaru is probably one of our biggest vehicles. We put tents on our Subarus. A lot of people's Subarus have them on. So we do a lot of Subarus with them. We've had a few on Priuses already.
Really?
The biggest thing is finding the right proper roof rack.
Okay.
So you got to you just can't, the rack system that comes with a vehicle, you got to have an aftermarket rack because the one that comes with the vehicle is usually rated for 110 pounds, 115. You got to get a rack system that's rated for 150 pounds. So that's the biggest thing is moving moving that. But basically every vehicle has some kind of a rack system that'll work.
So then when you put the tent on top of it, then there's then that support's separate as far as human body weight and everything else up there.
Yeah,
or how does that work?
Yeah, that's with that weight, it's 150, 160 pound. That is actually the kinetic. That's the moving. So if your vehicle's moving, it'll only it's the 150 pounds. Well, it fits the tent fine, but when it's sitting still, it'll be like 800 pounds.
Okay.
So that's where everybody thinks like, well, it's only 150 pounds. Well, yeah, it's because it'll fit the tent, but that's when it's moving. That's what those rating systems are. So when it's sitting still, they're usually 800 to more pounds. So 800 pounds is a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of a lot of weight.
Yeah. So like with the XXLs, like I said, that's 3 adults. Usually with the XXLs, we'll have at least 3 crossbars or. We have other racks that are called, tray racks, like the one that's on my truck. That's a tray. It's a flat, so then the whole tent sits on it.
Okay.
So,
and then the weight's evenly distributed
Weight's evenly distributed, yeah. So there's always, we know how to figure it out, what you need and stuff. So it's like when people are interested in a tent, we get their vehicle that they want, that they have, and we're able to figure out what rack system will work best for them.
Yeah, and that's what's awesome. I mean, walking into this shop, it's beautiful. I mean, anybody that likes, the outdoors and stuff and likes the looks of, nice Jeeps, trucks, anything else, you'd fall in love walking into this place. But it's the expertise that you get along with it. And that's what I've always say with, working at finding a good archery pro shop. It's the same thing with this. You come into a place instead of, just buying it online without asking any questions. You come in here or call you guys on the phone or anything there, ask questions, and you can kind of you can help that direction kind of take a little bit of learning curve out of the mix for it.
Yeah, exactly. That's like at OK4WD Drive. We've been open since 1979. So there's guys that have worked here for 30 plus years, and their passion, like you and I love to hunt.
Yeah.
Their passion's, wheeling, four-wheeling and stuff. So they know what they're talking about. So you call here, you have a question about your vehicle, what lift kit to get, what wheels, tires, or whatever. Yeah. I mean, these guys can, with a vehicle you have, they can talk you through everything that you need and what you don't need. Yeah. So, they're not just going to we're just not going to sell you stuff just to sell you stuff. We're going to make sure we're selling you things that you need and that's going to function for you.
Yeah.
Not just load your vehicle up just to load your vehicle up. Again, Jim's family oriented. He wants these guys to get out there with their kids, wives, whatever it is, or the women to get out there with their husband, because we have a lot of women and men and everything that build vehicles. So we just want everybody involved. We want to make sure that they have what they need, not what they want. So there's definitely a difference.
There's
a difference there.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's what we try to do at the archery shop too, is talk everyone through it. And if someone's still set on something, I'm not going to talk them out.
Exactly.
Just try to educate
and,
and help everyone understand how that works and kind of go from there. But that's that was so cool walking into the shop and seeing it.
Yeah.
And again, I just never thought of this part of the state. And, and even in New Jersey, you don't think of a place that you can do so many things at.
Yeah.
And you were telling
everybody thinks of Seaside Heights when they think of New Jersey.
Yeah, exactly. And you were saying to me too, you're like talking to me these hunting stories and stuff. And I'm like, this sounds like just like back home or somewhere else. I mean, there's mountains here and a lot of just very vast forested terrain all over, and it's a really cool area and to be able to have this kind of a shop and test out all the equipment and everything. It was pretty easy once I saw your truck that you're using everything that you have here.
That's one thing for sure. Everything that's on our trucks, all the guys here, we use them. So it's not like we just got stuff on there. We use them. So. That's where it goes back to that. We know really what you really need compared to what you want. So it's because we've used it, we've tested it. Yeah. We've gone everywhere with it. So and like I say, there's a lot of things to do around here. People come here. We got a rock pile out back actually of a mountain that guys can test their vehicle out after we get done with it. They go out there and drive up it and see how it works, and so there's a lot to do in just this area itself.
Yeah, that's cool. To circle back around to the tents a little bit, so what would be an advantage to someone wanting either say the soft shell versus the hard shell or vice versa? Kind of just explain that. Maybe what's the right fit for someone?
Yeah, I get asked that a lot actually, and I always try to let people. I try to give them the advantages of both of them. The hard shell, of course, easier to close. You close the back, close the front, close the back, open. It's a lot easier. Where the soft shell, you have to take the cover off and flip it over, and then there's two poles you got to slide down on the ground for support. Still not that bad. Still pretty quick. One of the advantages of the hard shell is with the 360-degree view. With a soft shell, you have the same view, but it's not. The windows aren't as big.
Okay.
And it's more domed shape. The soft shell is. The hard shell advantage is you have the ventilation fan and you have the light that comes with it, where the soft shell doesn't have any of that. It's really, I've used both of them. I have the hard shell and the soft shell. Myself, I like the soft shell, just the way it sits on my truck. 'Cause I have the Tacoma and I have a cap on it, and it sits nice on there, where I've had the hard shell on there already. It kind of, even like the one you had, the standard size, it still sits out a little bit because it's just a Tacoma, so it's kind of a little wider, where the soft shell is more narrower on my truck, a little smaller footprint on there.
Okay.
But when I open it, it's bigger than the Evasion, though, and the standard size. It's the size of the XXL.
Okay, and that kind of comes off the side?
That comes off the side, yeah. But like I said, the hard shell, easier to open, ventilation, solar fan, light. That's probably the advantage of that side of it. Easier to close, easier to open. Yeah. Less time consuming. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that's like you said, I've always looked at the soft shells before, and then seeing the hard shells, it was just so neat. I mean, literally the ventilation fans in there, everything else. I mean, I think I could use, either of them and be happy with it. But there's just, and obviously with the hard shell, the price point's a little bit higher.
Yes.
So that's where that comes into play. But you do get the advantages of,
you get those
easy
extras.
setup and everything there. Yeah. And you can leave both of the tents on your truck year round, right? If
we pretty much leave ours on. We put them on. One of the guys here, he's had his on now for 3.5 years, hasn't taken it off, stays right on there the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the guys that have them here, we keep them on. So
okay.
Yeah, they stay on. Even the soft shell with mine, I keep it on. You just clean it once in a while, the cover.
Yeah.
And with a hard shell, we just recommend it. Maybe you pot wax it 2 or 3 times a year just to keep it shiny, because it is gel coat.
Yeah.
And just like, a car or a boat out in the sun, it could fade. So it's best just to keep it clean and waxed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any other, as far as maintenance with them, that you need to worry about or take care of?
No.
Or pretty much just...
No, it's pretty much just, I mean, they're a really good product. One of the things I always tell, like I told you too, like with your sleeping bag being on your mattress or anything, I always take the ladder, slide it underneath the mattress.
Yeah.
So you're not dirtying the mattress cover or your sleeping bag or even ripping the cover or whatever. That way it's underneath.
Okay.
So, as far as maintenance, like I say, wash it with a mild detergent and wax it a couple times a year and you're fine.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Anything else on the tent side of things that you can think of?
No, I'm just excited about you getting out there and using it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and like I said, Rick just walked up here, and we already talked about him wanting to spend some time in there as well. So he's giving me that look. That's, again, if this podcast doesn't get released, there's a reason why. But anyways, so with OK4WD Drive, is that so? Does OK4WD Drive own James Baroud, or is it just a dealer for them?
Okay. James Baroud itself is made in Portugal.
Okay.
We're the sole distributor, so we're called James Baroud USA.
Okay.
So we get them in from Portugal. What it is, I'll place an order, and for a 40-foot container, usually you can get 50 tents in a container. They come here, and I got dealers throughout the country, 8 or 9 dealers we have throughout the country, and then they place their orders, and then I distribute those tents out through them, and then... Of course, then they sell tents. And we usually get a container once a month. So we get 50 tents a month come in here. So
yeah.
And it sounds like, that's plenty of tents. But let me tell you, when it comes February and March, people are ordering tents, and it takes us 3 months to get them. There's people, I'll be honest, there's people, you got to wait sometimes 3+ months before you can get your tent.
Yeah.
So it's really, as I always say, when people will call, like, I want to get a tent, let me think about it. And then they're like, okay, I'll call you back in May. And I always tell them, you can call me back in May. That's fine. I don't care. I don't want to pressure people, but you call me back in May. There's probably been 12 or 14 other people that have called and ordered a tent before that. So now you're further back in line.
Okay.
So that's why we always say 3 to 4 months at least.
Plan ahead.
Plan ahead
to
be
get excited if you get it earlier, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Because they're like I said, they're really, because we're supplying the whole country.
Yeah.
So
I gotcha.
Yeah, they go pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool. Is there anything else you want to add about OK4WD Drive or James Baroud tents? Yeah,
just, if you're ever in the area or want to take a drive, come on out. We'd love to have you. We do a lot of events. We do a lot of trail rides. There's places out, within hours of here. We can go spend the day doing trail rides up New York, the mid part of Pennsylvania. The guys love doing it, love hanging out with you. We love people coming here and just seeing the store, meeting new people and talking to them and just having fun. I mean, we like to have fun.
Yeah, it seems like a fun place to work, that's for sure.
We call it, what my wife always says when I go place, because we do a lot of shows, my wife says, you're not working, you're going camping.
Yeah.
She's like, you're not working, that's camping.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But, hey, that's the perks of the job, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Awesome. So, yeah, I definitely urge anyone to stop in if they're in the area. Or where can they find you guys online?
Yeah, you can go online. It's OK, the number 4, WD.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can just go on there and, or you can look through everything there and, email somebody and, if you got questions or, give a phone call. We got a 7-bay garage, so we got a lot of vehicles out there getting worked on at all times. So
definitely.
Yeah. So
and and definitely I'll put the links in the show notes on there for your Instagram and Facebook for both OK4WD Drive and James Baroud USA.
Yeah.
To be able to take a look at that and go from there. And then once I get some time spent in it, if I last through the weekend, then I will make sure to do a full review on it and kind of talk about the experience with it. And I like taking photos, so you'll see a lot of photos of hopefully in some pretty cool places.
Yeah, we love that. That's what we always say. Though we always tell our customers, people at James Baroud Tents and stuff, send us pictures. We'd love to put pictures on Instagram and social media, just to show everybody, that people are having a great time, having fun, and there's nothing like getting out there with your family or whatever, and the kids running around, and just have fun.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
awesome. Well, thank you very much, Craig. I appreciate your time here and everything else. So
I appreciate you coming out, and look forward to seeing you out there, doing your thing out there, hunting with it and everything. Yeah. We're pretty excited about that.
Oh, I am too. You had no idea. It's gonna be a good year, and I'm excited about it. So
awesome.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
All right, now that you have heard kind of the whole rundown with Craig and I, as we talked about the James Baroud tents and the different options. So when I recorded that podcast with Craig, that was back in August when I picked it up. So at that point, I had not used the tent yet, hadn't got to really experience it and be able to talk about it. So now here we are, I guess 3 months later, end of November here, and I've got to spend a lot of nights in the tent throughout the fall, all across kind of the United States, and wanted to give kind of a rundown with it and how I used it and what my thoughts were on the tent. So the model that I have is the James Baroud Evasion, as I talked about in the first part of this podcast, and got to use it first and foremost out in the Delaware Water Gap in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey border, excuse me. And So I went there with Rick, and we spent time. Rick did not stay in the tent with me. He had his own tent, but we went to basically a campground and everything there, and it was a very humid, a lot of rain, high heat type temperatures. So that was kind of my first experience with it, and so it has a 360-degree panoramic view. So when you pop up the tent, you can unzip the windows. So it's just basically a mesh ventilation the whole way around, and it also has a solar-powered fan in the roof. And with that being said, it was so hot and just muggy out that I needed to have these windows open, but I was kind of worried about it because it was raining so much. Well, the way that the tent's designed, it has a little bit of a lip that comes off the end. And even with like a little bit of a sideways rain, you did not get wet inside the tent. And I left every window open from a ventilation standpoint. But when it did start blowing a little bit harder, you'd start to feel a mist. So just the side the wind was blowing from, I'd keep that side zipped up. But other than that, with a regular rainstorm, you can keep those windows open, have the air circulating in there, and also stay dry. So that was cool to be able to test that, and really got to test putting away the tent wet as well and watching how it dries itself out. So put it away, somewhat damp, try to shake off the water the best you could, and put it in, drive down the road, and the air automatically circulates through that. So that was pretty neat to be able to try that. So we spent a few nights there in the tent, and my first thoughts were how comfortable that the memory foam mattress, or however the mattress is designed. It's like sleeping in your own bed. So I just had a pillow, and for this trip I just used a blanket instead of a sleeping bag since it was warmer out, and extremely comfortable across the board. So that was kind of like my first experience with the tent, and took it back. So the next part of the trip was going to be Colorado. It was basically the next time I was going to be able to use it. And so fast forward about 3 weeks or so, and went out to Colorado, and knew for the first part of this trip that we were going to be doing a little bit different than normal. I wasn't going to be backpacking back into a wilderness area and living off camp on my back. Wanted to try a little bit different with my dad and myself, is doing truck camping and going in lighter to see if we could cover more miles that way and be able to adjust and change locations a little bit easier. And so for the first 8 days of the trip, Colorado, I slept every night in the James Baroud tent and had a whole different, again, another big swing of weather changes, I guess. So from anywhere from, it'd be 70, 75 degrees during the day to when we go to sleep at night, it'd be dropped down, below freezing most of the nights. And the tent provided a lot of insulation, so I was surprised by that. Since the material is kind of like an aluminized polyester, it's a heavy, I would describe it as a canvas type material. That's probably not the right term, but it kept your body heat in the tent. And so even when it was really cold like that, I just had my regular, I believe it's 25 degree sleeping bag, and just wore the minimal clothes to bed. And you didn't get cold. You didn't feel the wind draft. You didn't feel anything. It's almost like a pop-up camper type material on the sides. And as soon as you would open the door in the morning, you'd feel that rush of cold air come in. But until then, it trapped your heat in there. And I'd still leave the solar-powered fan on during the night just to kind of circulate air. And it didn't get like extremely stuffy or anything else inside the tent. So that was kind of like the beginning of using it in some colder weather temperatures and seeing how it reacted with that. So sleeping in that tent for 8 days was a completely different experience from sleeping on the ground in a sleeping pad for that amount of time, and having that kind of rest that was like being in your own bed was absolutely amazing. I got great sleep every night, and inside there's a couple mesh pockets and a thing on the ceiling to kind of keep some of your gear organized. So when you go to bed, you can find it in the morning, a little light above your head. And it, like I said, it just felt like I was sleeping in your own bed, in your own room. You weren't, scattered with everything. You're up on top of the roof of your truck. It just feels good to get up off the ground, and did that for the first 8 days there, and really helped out quite a bit. I think my dad was pretty jealous of me getting the suite up top, I guess, as he was in the tent on the ground. But it was a really cool way to kind of test it there. So sleeping at 9,000 feet of elevation and with completely dry climate versus when we were out in the Delaware Water Gap that was extremely humid and wet and everything else. So this tent was just a game changer from the standpoint of, okay, so if you would be renting a cabin out or doing something else along those lines, you're looking at, say, a minimum of $200 a night. And you're looking at over an 8-day trip, you're looking at, say, $1,600 to do that. Or if you were getting a wall tent through an outfitter, you're looking at, $2,000 for a week, anything like that. Where when you would purchase something like this tent, and so the model I have runs a retail price of $4,099. And they have tents from the soft shells to the hard shells that run anywhere from, I believe it was the hard shells can run anywhere up into, like, they start at $3,300 and can run up into $4,700. So there's a wide range on the sizes and everything that you can want there. You could fit more than 2 or 3 people in there. And then they also have the soft shell tents that start around $2,700. So if you're looking at it from that perspective, investing in something like this, if you're going to do this trip more than once, is a pretty worthwhile investment, because it's something that you have and you can, keep for the lifetime of your vehicle and into your next vehicle, rather than spending this money on a cabin or something else. And in my opinion, you're still getting just as good, if not better, sleep in something like this. And you can still keep all your gear organized in the back of your truck. So my cap kept all my gear in it, had it secured, locked up. I didn't need to pull it out to sleep back there. And it just made it really simple to use. So like I said, if you look at it from that standpoint, we're looking at it from a budgeting standpoint. You can save up to purchase, say, one of these tents for anywhere, like I said, $2,700 to $4,700, depending on how fancy you want to go with it, what size you need, everything else. You can use this year-round in a variety of different weather conditions and be able to basically get your money back in, say, 2 years of using it. If you're going with, say, an outfitter where you would be normally getting a wall tent, or if you would be, just purchasing a regular tent going out at a campground, or using a hotel room, cabin, anything along those lines. So a couple years you could have that basically paid for, or I guess it depends on how many trips you're doing, but I would say a couple trips, you're kind of covering the cost of that, and also being able to use it on, family trips or just regular camping trips throughout the country. And that kind of leads me into whitetail hunting and kind of using it from that adventure aspect. It seems like a lot more people are going to different places to whitetail hunt out of state during the rut or whatever that may be. So look at it from, I'm going to be kind of looking at it from a Pennsylvania perspective. What most people do, it seems like they either go to New York or Ohio. It's only a state away. You can go to these different places, or even in some of the Pennsylvania wilds regions, which may be, a few hours from anybody's house or where they're living at. But anyways, you go on these trips, and most of the people that I talk to, and from my past experience, you'd rent a cabin out, or again, getting a hotel room. A lot of people are just getting hotel rooms for the week that they're out there, and those costs start to add up. If you truly want to do it a little bit different and have, the adventure aspect to it, you can go to a lot of different, say campgrounds, or if you're on a federally owned public land, so national forest land and stuff, you can basically camp anywhere you want alongside the road, anything like that. If you're looking at like Pennsylvania state game lands, that's a little bit different. But if you're looking at, national forests, some state forests, things like that, you can basically camp wherever without even having any costs associated with it. And the one thing you'd look at is, okay, so what do I do about showering or anything else? So if you're wanting to shower often or whatever, then maybe utilizing a campground or anything might be a good method, or utilizing a solar shower, things along those lines would be able to help you out. But so if you're hunting whitetails in November, and say you're going to, let's just say again for this experience, just talking about going to Pennsylvania. So you're going northern Pennsylvania, out in the middle of nowhere, and you want to spend a week of whitetail hunting or a long weekend or whatever it may be. Take everything in the back of your truck, pull off where you want to go, set up a little camp, and you can sleep in this tent, keep all your gear in the truck organized, everything else, and be able to hunt out of that for a week and without any issues. You're staying warm, you're staying insulated inside the tent. Leave your sleeping bag, leave your pillow up in there, and you can do some pretty amazing things with that. And it just kind of opens up the game. Like, you don't have to worry about, say booking a room, or if you just want to if you're kind of like me and just decide at the last minute, all right, I'm going to drive and go out for the weekend to Ohio, or I'm going to go to New York, or I'm going to try something different. Just, you're ready, good. It's on the top of your truck, and just roll with it. So that's kind of where I've found it to be, worthwhile investment from that standpoint, to that I don't have a problem recommending it and looking at it from that standpoint. I mean, the quality, spoke for itself. Just being able to be so user friendly and have the tent set up in like 60 seconds and be able to climb up in there and be sleeping is was really something that I'm excited to keep using and going on in the future. And I plan on doing some winter camping trips with it and some other different avenues to get to use this tent. But I haven't taken it off the top of my truck since I got it. It's on there when I go to work. It's on there when I travel. It's wherever I do, I have it and be able to use it. So really excited about that. But I will be definitely using this tent some more, like I said, going forward. And I'm going to try to do a review here pretty soon, like just kind of put what I've been talking about here into words on the blog and just go through it and kind of put some of the budgeting costs in there, so you get some takeaways there instead of taking notes on this podcast. But if anyone has any questions on the James Baroud USA tents or anything, feel free to shoot me a message, shoot me an email, reach out to me some way, and I'll help you with that, get you in contact with Craig and the team over there to make sure they can help you get set up with it if it's something you're interested in. And so that's kind of the gist of it there. If anyone has anything else, any other questions from the standpoint of East meets West, like always, just reach out. Again, shoot me a message, email, anything else, and tell us what you want to hear and where to go forward here. Pennsylvania, whitetail gun season's opening up here. As this releases, it'll be today. So the gun season will be opening up. Hopefully, get a buck on the ground and keep moving forward with that. So about 600,000 hunters entering the woods in Pennsylvania from the first day. It's going to be a little bit crazy joining the Orange Army. So everyone stay safe and good luck, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of East Meets West Hunt with your host, Bo Martonic. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit eastmeetswesthunt.com, Facebook at East Meets West Outdoors, and Instagram at East Meets West Hunt. If you enjoyed today's episode, please review and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.